Have you ever pulled up a mix and tried new presets or hacks you saw your favorite mixer use, only to find out they didn't work, and think to yourself, shitty mixer? Well, that's only partly true. Truth is, just a handful of tricks are universal and work no matter the genre of music you're working in. And after going through this myself, I discovered some life-changing mix tricks that would have saved my shitty mixes ages ago. And in this video, I'm gonna show you what these game changers are, so you don't have to print another shitty mix that not even your pet wants to listen to, including one that has a cheat code to getting tracks to fit in the mix perfectly that you'll start abusing right away. Starting with the hidden gem and a beast of a plugin used by mixers like Jack Joseph Puig for vocals, Jason Joshua for parallel kick and snare buses, and metal mixers like Taylor Larson for getting bass tracks to sound weightier in a mix without taking up a ton of space. This plugin on the surface is as unassuming as Clark Kent, but with just a flick of two dynamic controls, it transforms into Superman, saving your mix from tracks getting buried and lost. Waves MV2 might look simple, but this plugin's ability to shape the top end presence and impact of the low end on just about every instrument is amazing. It's so addicting to use because it can get just about everything up front, so use sparingly. There is another plugin that literally feels like you're cheating when you start throwing it all over your mix. And like Waves MV2, this tool has a magical ability to elevate whatever it touches. And it's a secret ingredient pros like Josh Goodwin and Louis Bell rely on to get perfect vocals for top artists like Justin Bieber and Post Malone. But here's the catch, it's not just for vocals. And mixers like John Douglas swear by its effects on synths and electronics, while Kevin Churko and Billy Decker find it indispensable on the mix bus. It's so versatile that it's jokingly dubbed the test mix winner among my circle. And the beauty of Sonic's Inflator lies in its simplicity. The magic is nestled with the effect and curve settings, where it conjures its enchanting spell all over your mix. It's like having a genie in your bottle granting you your wish to make everything loud and awesome. Alright, so now let's take it back to when I first started mixing. Drum mixing specifically. Mixing drums often felt like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube in the dark. It felt complex, frustrating, until I learned some tricks that suddenly made drum mixing a breeze. And I want to share 4 simple tricks that turn the daunting task of drum mixing into a walk in the park. So first off, dealing with a kick drum that sounds more like a deflated basketball than a tight punchy drum can be a huge nightmare. But before you even think about compression, which can take you down a really weird path, you'll first want to try altering the sustain and attack.
But wait, John, isn't that basically what compression is doing?
Yeah, technically a compressor is doing this, but what I'm about to share with you will work with making a weak fuck drummer sound like they can actually hit a drum. Using transient shapers like Softube's Transient Shaper, AudioSalt's Multi-Transient, and SPL's Transient Designer are simply genius for dynamic control. They allow you to sculpt the envelope shape of your drum shells as if they were clay, molding the sound to your liking with less need for compression. But wait, we aren't out of the woods just yet, because we got bleed from those cymbals and those pesky toms that can easily derail your drum mix. Some folks might gate them aggressively, but this can kill the vibe of the drum mix and worsen the problem you're trying to fix. So gating them to hell and back is gonna work against you sometimes. But a simple trick that I got from mixers like Tom Lord Algae and Beau Rochelle will get you a more natural musical sound. Simply add a low pass filter on a tom hit using Pro Tools Audio Suite, followed by adding a fade. This allows for a more natural, cleaner decay, minimizing the bleed from the cymbals. This works because the body of the toms are going to come through the overheads in the rooms, and we just need the initial impact of the mic'd tom shell. And I feel pretty confident from my years of coaching other mixers that despite using tricks like these, sometimes toms still won't cut through a mix. So 2 tricks to help with this, both utilize parallel processing. First one is to create a parallel bus track with a plugin like Sam's Amp Distortion. You'll then send your toms or tom bus to the parallel tom distortion track and blend it in with your toms. The second trick was one from the late great producer Jerry Finn. With the parallel setup like before, add BBE Sonic Maximizer and set the low and high contour to the max. Careful because you're gonna get some thunderous drums with this parallel bus like your Mr. Phil Collins. Both these parallel tom tricks are great for getting toms more up front in a mix, but I want to talk more about those damn cymbals. In isolation, they are just the worst. They're just layers of static noise masquerading as an instrument. Yet they're essential for giving life and energy to a drum kit, making it pulse with vibrancy. For years, rides, chinas, crashes, and hi-hats were my arch nemesis. No matter how much I tweaked the EQ, they refused to play nicely, especially in tracks brimming with intricate metal riffs. I felt like I was trying to sculpt fog. And in a dense mix, the cymbals and guitars would always just battle it out, turning the mix into a war zone and leaving me feeling like the referee in an endless fight. Eventually, I stumbled across a trick using a plugin I never thought of touching. And now I kick myself thinking about all the headaches and automation passes I could have saved myself. And the sentiment from everyone on my weekly Mixdown newsletter was the same when I shared it. Using an expander plugin, find the threshold for the top end where it gets too shimmery with the cymbal spot mics, and the same for the low end. Here we just want to roll them off until we're just getting the stick attack of the cymbal. The rest of the time, the expander will minimize the bleed from the spot mic so your drum set will sound more focused.
But wait, there's more!
I have one more stupidly simple way to help your drums sit better in a mix when using effects. Cause this problem might sound familiar. You've got your drums just about perfect. Then you add some reverb and suddenly your once punchy drums are now floating in an endless reverb galaxy far, far away. This is just one of the downsides to reverbs, because reverbs by design are going to put things into space. And you'll often lose the impact and presence from the dry signal. That is where this genius trick from mixers like CLA and Bob Clearmountain can help glue your drum mix together. It alleviates the washy drums and vocals and space problems. And remember I said it was stupidly simple? With drums, don't put reverbs on your direct mics.
What the f is this piece of sh**?
Use the reverb only on overheads in rooms or room samples of the drum shells.
Oh la la!
This will give you a more natural, bigger drum sound while not compromising the direct impact of the shells. Now this next one I got from producer mixer Greg Wells. In an interview, he spoke about a common challenge, ensuring that the delay effects do not overwhelm the main vocal track. The dilemma is especially present when using mono slapback delays in the center, which can often clutter the vocal space, making the mix feel crowded and unfocused. Because of this, Greg opts to use tape delay instead of a digital one.
Big fan of kind of tape delay on a vocal.
The inherent saturation of the tape delay naturally creates a sonically distinct space that helps keep the delay out of the way of the vocal. But to take this a step further, I like adding distortion and saturation plugins like Decapitator or Saturn II after my delay plugins. This method is basically a digital walkaround that simulates the warm, complex character of using gear outside of the box. And a cool trick that will open up your mixes, and a go-to for mixers like Andrew Sheps, DJ Swivel, and Neil Angelo. They use this trick to get their tracks to have more spread in a mix, by using plugins like Soundtoys Microshift or Waves Doubler after a reverb or delay. You'll take an already 3D spacious sound and make it feel like it's being pushed outside of the speakers. Alright, so there is one more tool that I've seen used on countless mixes, and when I first saw it being used, it just threw me for a loop. Because it's usually the type of plugin that only gets used in one place in a mix, and it's used towards the end of a project for most mixers. There are loads of great limiters out there, and some are better on individual tracks, whereas others perform better on buses and others on the mix bus or master. And using plugins like MIG DSP's ML4000 or the Retro Limiter, the Waves L1, using these limiters as the last insert on your instruments can really help tame the peaks. But a great place to use them is on your buses to ensure that the levels aren't too hot before heading to your mix bus. Think of these types of limiters as the Lumen Loki, a failsafe to make sure your tracks don't branch out too far and there's only one sacred mix. Otherwise, you're gonna have to prune everything.
Excuse me, spoiler alert!
I know I've said simple quite a few times in this video, but this next trick is so revolutionary. It's easy to understand why mixers like Andy Wallace, Chris Lord-Alge, and others have been utilizing this trick for years. It brings any instrument to the forefront of the mix, ensuring it's heard loud and clear, yet without stepping on the toes of the rest of the mix. And I'm not kidding when I say this trick works damn near every single time. This trick exploits the dynamic section of one of the most famous channel strips of all time. Yep, Avid's Euphonics System 5 console, of course.
What the
Just kidding, the SSL 4000E console, of course. On your SSL 4000E channel strip plugin of choice, ensure your filters are set to split so that they're at the front of the signal chain, just in case. Now set your threshold to the lowest value. For now, keep your release at the default setting and move the ratio to the lowest amount. And then, as the track is playing, slowly start moving the ratio until you see the compressor doing between 3 to 10 dBs of compression. And within seconds, you'll be seeing a whole new world, just like in Aladdin.
I can open your eyes.
And as transformative as these techniques are, they're merely pieces of a much larger puzzle. And unfortunately, there are some common mistakes you're probably making that are keeping you from achieving the results that you're after for in a mix. Which is why you'll want to watch this video right here for some insights from pro mixers on mistakes that keep mixes sounding amateur.